gotten through this divorce process before this happened.
The love story between Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Ken Urker, once painted as a heartfelt reunion and a fresh start, seems to be falling apart at the seams. For months, they've portrayed a carefully curated image of passion and commitment across social media, trying to convince the world that they were deeply in love and determined to make things work. But now, what fans are seeing behind the scenes is a very different reality, one that's unraveling with every new episode of their show. What looked like a fairy tale is quickly turning into a cautionary tale. In a recent episode, the tension between Gypsy and Ken was impossible to ignore.
So I'm very new to this, and learning how to navigate this has been a process of my own that I'm trying to figure out.
I don't want him to stay because of the baby. I want him to want this relationship to work.
The moment they sat down for a therapy session, it was obvious something was off. Ken sat stiffly, barely able to look Gypsy in the eye, and confessed that he wasn't even sure if the relationship was something he truly wanted anymore. That kind of uncertainty, especially when spoken aloud in a setting meant to encourage connection and healing, speaks volumes. It doesn't sound like a man in love, it sounds like someone already halfway out the door. Things became even more complicated when the issue of Gypsy's pregnancy came up. The storyline frames the pregnancy as something unexpected, almost accidental. But many viewers aren't buying that. From the very beginning, Gypsy made it clear that she wanted to be a mother. It wasn't a passing thought or an impulsive decision. She talked about it constantly, and those closest to her, including Ken's mother Rena and even Gypsy's own father Rod, were aware of it. Rena has gone on record saying she warned Ken multiple times, telling him not to get involved if he wasn't serious, because Gypsy had baby fever and she wasn't subtle about it. So when Gypsy ended up pregnant just a month after those conversations,
one who said it. I'm like, she wants a baby. She's been saying she wants a baby. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. A month later, boom. I have no words. But you know what? At the end of the day, a baby is a blessing.
People couldn't help but raise their eyebrows. Did Ken really ignore all the warnings? Or did Gypsy take matters into her own hands to secure a deeper commitment from him? Rena even implied that Gypsy might have lied about being on birth control. Given the timing, her past behavior, and how everything conveniently lined up, many believe this pregnancy wasn't a surprise at all. It was calculated, a strategic move to keep Ken from walking away. Now, with the baby here, Ken finds himself tied to a situation he doesn't seem to want. Meanwhile, Gypsy appears to be clinging to the baby as a way to keep the relationship intact. In a therapy session, she broke down crying, saying she wants Ken to stay because he wants her, not just because of the baby. But the sadness in her voice,
Sort of like a negative headspace, and I don't want him to have resentment towards me. For like how
the way she phrased it, it felt like she was trying to convince herself, not just the therapist. Even she seems to know that the baby is the only thing keeping Ken close. What makes this even more heartbreaking is what happened just days later. Ken was seen on Instagram lounging on a bench in Florida, soaking in the sun, completely alone. He looked calm, relaxed, like a man finally catching his breath. No baby sounds, no emotional outbursts, no Gypsy, just peace. His face said it all. But just as quickly, that peace was interrupted. Gypsy returned to social media, this time on TikTok, posting a video of their baby crying, clearly in distress. The caption mentioned that it was the third night of colic, accompanied by a sad emoji. No words were spoken, but the implication was clear: she was overwhelmed, exhausted, and very much alone. And then, the very next day, Ken was back in Louisiana, sharing that he was picking up a few things. It was too precise to feel like coincidence.
like I told him, I don't want him to stay because of the baby. I want him to want this relationship to work.
Fans started to notice a troubling pattern. Whenever Ken tries to distance himself, Gypsy shares something emotional, something that involves the baby, and suddenly he's right back by her side. Whether she's doing it consciously or not, it's like a signal that pulls him in every time. And it works, because while Ken may no longer be emotionally connected to Gypsy, or may have never fully been, he clearly still cares about their child. That's the one thread that keeps him tied to her, and Gypsy seems to know exactly how to us it. The relationship isn't grounded in mutual love or shared dreams anymore, if it ever was. It's starting to look like a cycle of emotional manipulation and obligation. There's no passion, no joy, just a transactional kind of connection.
That is in Florida.
and her baby's having a hard time. And GRB doesn't know what to do. Usually when she posts these types of things and these dance videos and lip sync, it's when her and Ken are going through something.
Gypsy is holding on to Ken not through affection or trust, but through the baby, who seems to be the only reason he's still around. This isn't a romantic partnership anymore. It's two people caught in a web of consequences, emotions, and missed expectations. Ken, according to sources, even admitted to his half-brother Chase that he's tired of the back and forth and wants nothing to do with the emotional chaos. It's not just that things are rocky, it's starting to feel like they're completely beyond repair. Ken's comments weren't sugar-coated, they were blunt, honest, and honestly, kind of painful to hear. He wasn't interested in love or a future filled with romantic milestones. He didn't want rings, vows, or the idea of building a life with Gypsy. What he did want was something far more practical, a shared living space where he and Gypsy could raise their child. Not a home built on love, but one built on necessity. His plan wasn't about becoming a partner to Gypsy, it was about doing the bare minimum to fulfill his responsibilities as a father.
We're going to get married. We're all taking our time. We're not rushing into anything, you know. The most challenging part is until she's off parole, is having to figure out like how we're going to co-parent. You know, I hate saying co-parent, but that's just the term that we have to use because we can't live together.
Yeah.
So like,
that must be difficult.
The distinction is important. He wasn't committing to a relationship. He was accepting a role, one dictated by circumstances, not emotion. And it gets even more telling. The only reason he wasn't already living with her was because of his parole. He said it himself. Once that restriction was lifted, he'd move in, but not because he was eager to be with her, not out of love or desire. Simply because it would finally be allowed, and it wouldn't be as a partner. It would be as a co-parent, a roommate. The implication, if there were no baby, he wouldn't be there at all. That wasn't speculation. That was Ken's own statement, captured on camera for everyone to see.
My house all the time. She has to go back home for her parole stipulations.
There's no legal exceptions for the baby?
Well, yes. I mean, if we were married, that would be one way out. But like, I don't want to have like some courthouse wedding just to get the marriage stamp.
What makes all of this more suspicious is the timing. Just as breakup rumors started swirling online, those whispers got drowned out by cheerful baby shower photos flooding social media. Suddenly, Gypsy and Ken were all smiles again, presenting the image of a happy couple. But for many people, it felt too perfect, like a PR stunt. Influencer Nina even hinted she had reliable inside info that a breakup had happened and that the Lifetime show would eventually reveal the full truth. So when the baby shower pics started circulating, it didn't ease suspicions, it raised them. Were they genuinely back together? Or were they just performing for the public eye? And then came a critical moment that changed everything. Kristy's live stream.
Serious discussions, her and I, and, you know, I'm gonna tell y'all like this. She knows what not to do. No, they did not break up. Somebody put it on a plan.
She went live with Natasha, a close family friend, supposedly to address and shut down the rumors. But what was meant to be damage control turned into a major slip-up. Kristy said she knew someone in the family had leaked the breakup story and called them a snake. She even said she was trying to find out who it was. That alone gave away more than she intended, because if the breakup wasn't real, why go on a witch hunt? Why call out a family member for leaking something that supposedly never happened? That's not the reaction of someone denying a false rumor. That's what people do when the truth has been exposed in a way they didn't plan for. One viewer caught on and asked the obvious question. How is it a snake if the rumor isn't true? Kristy didn't have an answer. She froze, realizing she'd just revealed too much. And in that moment, it was clear. The story they were trying to sell wasn't matching up with the reality behind the scenes.
They did not break up.
I wish I could run a banner across this like you can on StreamYard that says they did not break up. This has been the craziest mess. I mean, they're so... And this is what I'm saying. I mean...
And that's not even counting what the show has been showing us. In the first episode, Ken greets Gypsy at a restaurant. He's warm on the surface, but quickly turns controlling, pushing her to order something she clearly doesn't want. She ends up in the bathroom, crying, and he doesn't even notice. That isn't love. That's indifference. Then in the next episode, things escalate even more. Gypsy finds a hairbrush that belongs to Ken's ex-girlfriend and completely spirals, not because of the brush itself, but because it's a painful reminder that he's still emotionally tied to someone else. Later, she tried to play it off in a TikTok video, laughing at the situation. But when someone commented, "You have his baby, don't be insecure," she clapped back with something very telling. She said, "Yes, we have a kid. However, he plays into those insecurities."
Just for clicks and views.
Right.
But they are very well aware that they have a snake in their midst.
Yes, we very aware. And like I said, I think I know.
He never says, "I choose you." It's always, "She doesn't want me." That's huge. She's not being chosen, she's being tolerated. Ken isn't with her because he wants to be. He's there because his ex doesn't want him, and because Gypsy had his baby. And she knows it. That's why she's holding onto the baby so tightly. It's her one remaining connection to him. She even admitted their intimacy has faded, the chemistry is gone, and they've been in therapy since the beginning of the relationship. That says everything. They aren't thriving, they're barely holding on. Gypsy wants Ken desperately, but Ken, he looks emotionally checked out, like he's stuck in a situation he didn't choose. And when he tries to escape, even briefly, the cycle repeats. Like when he tried to enjoy a short vacation and suddenly Gypsy was back on social media, posting emotional updates about sleepless nights with a crying baby. It's clear she knows how to get his attention, and she uses that to keep him from slipping away. When Kristy used the word snake, she wasn't just being dramatic. She was panicking. That slip-up revealed what many people had been suspecting all along. This relationship is hanging by a thread. It's not based on love or mutual support, it's a performance held together by public pressure, obligation, and emotional leverage.
And I got to do a little more digging. But like I said, Natasha will be the first to know.
Yeah.
Because I'll let Natasha blow this shit all out the water. How do you have a snake if it's not true?
Whether they're holding out until the show ends, or until the legal barriers lift, one thing is certain: this isn't sustainable. So the real question now is, will Gypsy ever truly let go of Ken? It doesn't seem likely. She's gripping him with everything she has, from guilt, to the baby, to the image they present to the world, because she knows that once he walks away, it's truly over. What happens when the cameras stop rolling? Will Ken finally walk away for good? Or will Gypsy keep up this illusion, hoping it lasts just a little longer? Let me know what you think in the comments. Can a baby really save a relationship that was never built on love to begin with? And that's where we'll leave it for now. This whole situation just keeps getting messier, and if you think this is the end, trust me, it's not. There's way more going on behind the scenes than what they're showing us, and it's only a matter of time before the truth fully unravels. So what do you think? Is this relationship real or just a carefully crafted performance? Will Ken stick around, or is he already halfway out the door? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I want to hear what you think. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next update. Because with this drama, you'll want to stay in the loop. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one.